Hey everyone, Anna D here, the biggest D you know, and welcome to another episode of Me, My Health and I, where we highlight local legends and talk everything health and wellness. I have a very interesting and exciting guest today, Matt. Welcome, Matt.
G'day, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm a little bit nervous because we've not really met before.
No, not in person.
But thank you very much for taking the time.
No worries, I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. So before we get into it, I know a little bit about you, but for those that don't, tell us about you and what you do.
Yeah, well, I'm Matt, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old, born and bred in Auckland. For work, I am a real estate agent. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Working at Professionals Point Chevalier at the moment. So yeah, we're fortunate enough to open that about 10 months ago. My business partner and I, Derek, and that's going great. And yeah, life's great at the moment.
Do you
No
know I
complaints.
grew up in Point Chev?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What street?
Rawalpindi Street.
Huh?
Rawalpindi Street. It's off Seager Ave.
See, I don't know any of those streets. Oh my God.
Bro, okay.
Cut. No, just kidding.
Across from Unitech.
Oh, okay.
So
that
Carrington
side.
and then it's Seager and then Rawalpindi
Yeah,
anyway.
that side of Point Chev.
Yeah. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
the more Mount Albert side, but you can still class it as Point Chev.
No, it's very cool.
So I spoke to you the other day
Mm-hmm.
and you had a double lung transplant.
Correct. Yes, I did.
Fuck.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I
So-
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I mean, yeah, short story. I have cystic fibrosis, so it's a genetic lung disease.
Yes.
So yeah, parents were carriers of the cystic fibrosis gene, and I was born with it. It's not a super common disease. I think there's only about 500 people in New Zealand with it. So yeah, it's not super well known. And yeah, it's pretty much a genetic lung disease predominantly. It affects the lungs and other organs in your body over time. So actually when I was born, in the 90s, in 93, they...
Such a baby.
Yeah, 30, come on now.
Compared to me.
They told my parents, they were like, oh yeah, he's lucky if he'll live past being a teenager.
Yeah.
That was like how, I guess, grim the outlook was back when I was born with it. So my parents were always like, quite, mum more so, she was a very helicopter parent about it all.
Yes,
And,
because
trying to wrap me in bubble wrap.
the youngest? Are you have siblings?
I have one brother, but I'm the oldest, so he's 2 years younger than me.
Right.
Yeah. So I was their firstborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite serious. But yeah, I mean, I had a relatively normal childhood in my eyes.
Yes.
I did spend quite a bit of time in hospital throughout my life as a child and as a teenager, be there roughly 1 month out of the year. So you'd get a chest infection.
All at once?
Yeah. So what would happen
wow.
is I'd get a chest infection and I'd have to go to hospital for 2 weeks at a time for IV antibiotics to clear it. And obviously when you're younger, you get them less often, but as time goes on, you get them more often. So the older I grew up, the more I was in hospital. So my first memory of being in hospital was probably when I was like maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. But honestly, I actually had really good memories of being in hospital as a child. It wasn't traumatic.
Yeah.
Nurses were super nice. They gave us toys.
So for those, can you explain cystic fibrosis in layman's terms?
Yeah. So it breaks. So it's, oh gosh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh gosh. No, that's fine. So what it does is it basically increases the mucus production in your body. So that's why it primarily affects the lungs.
Yeah.
Because your airways get filled with sticky mucus that can't get out. Yeah. So you have to do physiotherapy every day to try and get the mucus out and keep your airways clear.
How do you do that?
So when you're young, you have to lie on this thing face down and your parents would just pat your back like percussion.
Oh,
and it would just move the mucus up and you just naturally cough it up. And then once you're old enough, you start to breathe on saltwater nebulizers, and then the salt water through your airways will make it come up and you can cough it up.
Okay.
So that's the predominant thing that it affects. It also affects your pancreas, so you have to take digestive enzymes. There's other complications. A lot of people end up getting diabetes, which I have as well. So it's closest to type 1, so the insulin-dependent diabetes.
Holy shit.
And then, that's pretty much it. I mean, there might be some other small complications.
Yeah.
But that's, pretty much
So
it.
growing up, you obviously made it past being a teenager.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Yeah! And then in 2020, what happened there? This is when you had the big double transplant? Transplant?
I think if you're American, transplant.
Yeah.
So leading up to 2020, so I got my transplant when I was, I think, 25 years old. So from about 20 years old to 25 years old, that's when I probably progressively got sicker and sicker.
Yeah.
Also lifestyle, obviously in your early 20s, you're going out with mates and you're probably exercising a little bit less and partying a little bit more and all that kind of jazz. So I'm not going to lie and say that didn't contribute to it. I could have delayed it, but I had a lot of fun, so no regrets.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So leading up to 2020, the year or two before then, I had to go on oxygen, like overnight oxygen, and then eventually full-time oxygen. So like driving to work and stuff would just be hooked up to like oxygen all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What were you doing for work?
I was in real estate at that time.
Oh,
as
you
well.
were? Yeah.
And in 2020, I had just moved houses in June.
Yeah.
And I had been in my new house with my brother and sister-in-law for like 2 weeks. And I remember they were out at a friend's house and I was at home. I think I was sleeping and I started coughing in my sleep and I woke up and I had a collapsed lung. And I'd had 2 collapsed lungs before, so I knew what it felt like and I knew why it was a collapsed lung. But at this time, being on oxygen and being so sick, when this lung collapsed, I like freaked out. And so I texted my brother, like barely breathing, like I'm like gasping for air. And I texted my brother, I said, call the ambulance, my lungs collapsed.
Yeah.
So he called the ambulance straight away and texted me saying, like, we're rushing home now. And I think within 15 minutes or something, the ambulance had arrived and, like put me on more oxygen, or I can't remember what they did. They also gave me some sort of gas to like relax me.
Right.
Took me to hospital. And then I was in hospital for about a week and they were like, your lungs aren't doing too well. They're not reinflating. They're not really taking to any of the antibiotics or any of the drugs we're giving you. We're going to put you on the transplant list now. Yeah. Like you need to go on the list now and we need to find you some lungs. And then about another few days went by and they came back and they were like, you're going like quite downhill, like really fast. My resting heart rate was around 140, just lying in bed. Like I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And my respiration rate was about 1 breath per second. So if you can imagine that, it's just like you're like hyperventilating and you're just lying in bed. So it was really crazy. And so then they were like, we're going to put you at the top of the list. Like you're now the number 1 priority and on the transplant list. We need to find you some lungs. Yeah. They said if it's, if we can't find you some lungs in the next week or so, we're not going to operate on you. Like you're not going to be well enough to handle it. Yeah. So they said, we've got about a week left. So, being on the countdown timer is quite grim, but I feel like as well, I think I had almost come to a point by that stage of giving up, like just thinking like, if it's not meant to be and there aren't some lungs for me, then it is what it is. I've had a good run. So I think I had mostly come to peace. At
25.
Yeah, at 25. Yeah. But I'd had a good life. So I'd sort of, come to peace with what was happening. Yeah. Obviously I wanted to find some new lungs, but there was also a part of me, in hospital, I was on so many painkillers and like, not hallucinogens, but they basically put you on stuff to like put you pretty close to a coma so that you're just resting as much as you can. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of like fluid, logical thought about what was happening in that moment and what everything meant. It was sort of, it was a bit of a blur, to be honest with you. Okay. Yeah. And then, after about 5 or 6 days, they came in one morning and they were like, we think we've got a match.
The final hour.
Yeah, we're just doing the testing and stuff just to make sure it all matches up and the blood's all fine. because obviously it has to be a similar blood type or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up coming in from Aussie. So they found a donor in Aussie and had to fly them over on ice.
This might be a silly question. Do you have to have both lungs from the same person, or can you get lungs separately?
You can get a single lung transplant, but I don't think you could get like one lung from one person, another one from another, and then they combine them and put them in you.
Okay.
I don't know, to be honest, but yeah, that sounds very chaotic.
Later.
Yeah. So got the call that morning. Obviously, family was super stoked. I was pretty much like out of my ass at this point, so I really don't have much memory of that day. I have like photos and videos to remember things, but I couldn't even tell you what I was feeling because I don't fully remember.
Yeah.
And then 11 p.m. at night, they wheeled me into theatre, and that was that. Boom.
So when you got your new lungs, how'd you feel after that? Like once you woke up and you were a bit more normal?
Yeah. Well, it was a long process to get there because there were stages of being aware and conscious after that. I spent 6 weeks in ICU.
Fuck.
Yeah, the first 10 days in a full coma, and I had to actually get rushed back to theatre about 5 times for internal bleeding in those 10 days. So that was another whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost dying.
I do really want to talk about that.
Yes.
Should we do that
Yeah.
now?
Well, it seems like a good
It's
time.
a good
Good
segue.
segue. Yeah.
So you almost died.
Yeah.
And you had a near-death experience.
Yes. Yeah. So in one of those episodes where I had internal bleeding again post-surgery, they had to rush me back. I was on several different machines, basically life support, because they've got one machine that's in you pumping the lungs for you because you're not strong enough.
Yeah.
They've got another machine it's actually tubes that go like all through your body and pump blood for you. It's like basically like an artificial heart that's pumping blood into you and taking blood out of you on a constant feedback loop. So they knew like if you started to drop off or have issues, they'd know straight away because the machines would start going crazy and going do, like he's dying. So that happened a few times. So they rushed me back to theatre. I think it was the 3rd or 4th time that they had to do that. And they, obviously this is all, like a lot of this is secondhand accounts because I was in a coma basically.
Yeah.
They called my parents at about 5 a.m. in the morning and said to them, like, you guys need to come in right now and basically like say your goodbyes. Like, I'm not sure if he's going to get through the night. So family came in and I went into theatre and came out again. And I remember it was my parents-in-law. So it was like my brother's wife's parents. He's a pastor at church, and he was praying for me and just saying like, please God, like, let him live, like give him strength.
Yeah.
And so first of all, I'll tell my account and then I'll tell his account because once I tell you both, it's kind of even scarier.
Okay. Wait, I need to get more comfortable.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
So my account is that, I remember being in the room with my family. I remember hearing them. I remember, being aware of them being there. My mum was, like crying, like just nonstop. And then I remember just an out of body experience. Like it was like a third person view of the room, like looking down from the corner, and just seeing everybody there and just being like, oh shit, like this is it. Like I'm actually dead.
Yeah.
Like I'm having an out of body experience. I can see everyone in the room crying and I look dead. I was like, holy shit.
So you could see yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see myself. I could see the room as though it was like, like a movie, like you're looking into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like I didn't actually know what, death would be like. But this is it. And I was like, to be fair, it's not too bad, I guess. But but then I just remember going towards a light and just like the whole thing was exactly as you hear about it. In movies and stuff, like going towards a light and getting closer and just this overwhelming feeling. And then I just had this feeling take over me, and it was like something else saying like, nah, like it's not your time, like don't worry, like you know, you're gonna go back.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine, it's gonna be fine. And I remember just thinking also in that moment, like I can't die now because my mum's so devastated by it.
Yeah.
I've got a dog, like I can't leave my dog. Like all this guilt was just like built up in that moment.
Yeah.
I was thinking like you can't die, like you can't leave your mum without her son.
Yeah.
And that was just like one of the most powerful feelings of all time. And then I just remember just like whoosh back, and then it was darkness. Like that was over.
Insane.
And then no consciousness or no awareness from that moment forward until I, you know, the next time I woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was.
Before you were like, you knew you were going to come back, you said you had an overwhelming feeling of like what? Of.
Just like
were you peaceful?
Yeah, I was
Or you were
peaceful.
just like,
I had come to terms with it. Yeah,
You were
I was
just
like,
like,
oh shit,
okay.
I'm dead. Like this is it. Yeah, and then that's when I, you know, I don't know what it was. Well, actually, that's a lie. I do. I mean, I was getting a call.
So popular.
I was work. Yeah, sorry. Where was I going with that?
You're at peace.
I was at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and a bit of backstory. So I didn't grow up religious. I had sort of been in and out of church like my whole life, just, you know, moments and stages of going to church and whatnot. And I've always believed in God, but I was never super religious. But I think after that moment, I believe that, you know, I spoke to God and that he was the one that told me it's not your time.
Yeah.
And put me back in my body. And yeah, it was a very insanely spiritual moment. Yeah, and I guess unless you go through something like that, you know, you almost don't know what someone means or what someone's talking about.
Yeah.
But after that, I can't deny that I believe in God, because I believe that I met him and he was the one that told me it's not your time. You need to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then so the flip side of that is that, so my father-in-law was there praying for me in the room.
Yeah.
And had his hand on my hand and was, he only told me this story about 4 or 5 months later. So after I was out of hospital, after it was kind of all over, he said to me, you know, the night that we all had to come in the morning and like, you know, they asked to say goodbye to you. And I was like, yeah. He's like, do you remember much about that night? And I said to him, well, yeah, this is my experience of that night, and this is what I remember. He said, well, I was praying for you and I felt your hand go cold and I felt the life leave your body, and we had, you know, basically given up, but I was still praying, holding your hand. And he said, and then something just happened and I felt like the life force back in your body.
Yeah.
And I said, holy shit, that's insane, because that's how I experienced it too.
Yeah.
But from my own perspective is that I left my body and then got sent right back into it.
Yeah.
And then, so that was very freaky. And when he told me that like gave me the chills as well.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I don't know, up to then, I guess part of you thinks, oh, was I just dreaming? Was I hallucinating or something like that?
But then he's
I guess
like
to have
confirming.
to have somebody that was there and have their own version of the experience in a physical way.
Yeah.
Not just vibes.
Yeah.
You know? It confirms it. But it was also very scary, because it was still,
well,
there was
you
a lot
died.
and there was a lot of like, you know, emotional coping afterwards, and a lot of emotions that you have to work through when you go through all of that.
So can we talk about that? How did you get through that? So you've come out.
Yeah.
You survived. Didn't die.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feels good, man.
So then, but now you have to deal with the fact that you didn't die.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've always been a very like stoic person and very, I don't know. I've just always dealt with things really clear-headed and stuff. So I think that definitely helped. I'm not like an overly emotional person. But yeah, just dealing with like, the thought of like almost dying, and the thought, the biggest thing, and I, once she watches this, she'll probably cry again, but the biggest thing was like the guilt of like leaving my mum. and like all the emotion that she went through. And I know for her, she took it the hardest.
Yeah.
So not to say I felt guilty, because it's not my fault, and I had I had no reason to feel guilty. But yeah, I think the guilt of, dealing with like my family and everything that they had to go through, I think that got passed on to me a little bit in that moment.
Yeah.
And in that period of time. Yeah. But I think that's now being on the other side of that, the being healthy and being fit again is like my way of, I guess, repaying them for all of that, what they went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking after yourself.
Exactly. And now being like, healthy and able to exercise again. And yeah, just, I guess, showing them that, it wasn't for nothing, and that I'm really looking after myself now. And, I was reborn at 25 and hopefully got another 25 plus years left in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do now then to look after your health and well-being now that you have, I mean, you literally were reborn. Oh, it's just so insane.
Yeah,
I fucking love this
and
shit.
that's the other thing is like I feel like I've had a second chance at life now, so which is really cool. But there's so much that comes with that as well, because you feel like when you've got a second chance at life is like you kind of like in the bonus life. Like for all the gamers out there, if you play like Call of Duty and you die and you go to the gulag and come back,
what?
That's what it's like. Yeah. You might not understand, but any gamers watching, they'll be like, oh yeah, he's back. But yeah, so I don't take anything for granted now. I always did try and enjoy life. Now even more so, I don't take anything serious. Like it all almost got taken away from me in an instant. So like now it's very like, man, I don't really care. Like I just, I'm just enjoying life.
Trivial.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just enjoying life, just trying to have fun, not take things too serious, because you don't know when it's going to be over again. And I think going through that experience made me just have that realization as well. It's like, anyone could be hit by a bus tomorrow, and then, what are you doing? So it's a good way to look at life. But sorry to get off track. So, yeah.
I was like, but in saying that, you still have to look after yourself.
Yeah, totally. No, and that's the other thing is like, I've been blessed with this second chance, and I don't want to take it for granted. So I really try and like look after myself now. I used to exercise a lot. When I was a teenager, I was actually like in the national bodybuilding championships in New Zealand.
Yes.
So yeah, always like grew up going to the gym, started going to the gym at 15, used to run. But all of that sort of got taken away from me over time due to my illness.
Yeah.
So I've always loved exercising. It's been like, it's my number one hobby is to just do exercise. Like I love it. So to have that taken away from me, but then given back again, now I have the utmost respect for my body and for exercising.
Yeah.
I still have fun. I still like to go out a little bit. Yeah, not much, but yeah, I'm at the gym 5 to 6 days a week now. Was running. I was training for a half marathon, but injured my knee. But yeah, shit happens. But I'm gonna do the Auckland half marathon in November.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be massive for me. I did round the Bays earlier this year in like a really good time, and that was amazing for me to do that. And then I was like, yeah, lock in for a half marathon, and that will feel really cool.
Have you done the Auckland Marathon before?
No.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to run over the Harbour Bridge.
Yeah, people told me that's the hardest part because you're like, it's near the end and you're like going up the bridge and your legs are on fire. And you're
I loved it because you're like, oh my God, I'm on the fucking Harbour Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. So yeah, that's the next big goal for me.
And so when you're in the gym, what sort of training do you do?
Just weight training. Not like HIIT training or anything like that. Going to with my business partner Derek, we go to his private studio a little bit and get coaching there from his trainer, which is really cool. Yeah, it's like a bit of box fit and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really like fell back in love with the gym, which was one of the most amazing things out of the experience, I guess. Yeah.
Can I just ask, bodybuilding? How'd you get into that as a teenager?
Yeah. Real, quite hectic. Yeah.
My mum was a bodybuilder.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'd know.
We ate a lot of dry chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I'm not that hardcore anymore.
Okay.
Thank God. But yeah, when I joined the gym when I was 15 with a couple of schoolmates, and yeah, just got into it. And I met through the gym. I met like the president of the New Zealand IFBB. He also had a supplement store like directly across the gym, so we would always go and hang out there and ask questions about all the supplements and you know, very.
What can I ask? What gym?
It used to be called Club Physical in Botany Downs back in the day, but I think it's had a brand change now. And then, I just started getting more into bodybuilding, like, you know, following bodybuilders and watching them and learning the diet, became, you know, got a personal training certification and started really like deep diving into nutrition and learning about that.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, you know what, screw it. It's a big goal, but I was 18 at the time. I was like, I want to do a bodybuilding show in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
So just started training for that and did it. We did the regional show first, then we did the national show second. And it was a lot of fun. It was just really good to like make a crazy goal and like work towards it. But yeah, I did the whole thing. Like I was training twice a day at that time, cardio every day. The chicken, rice and beans diet, and then you get rid of the rice before the show, and it's just chicken and beans, and that wasn't fun, but had to be done. It was cool.
Did you get real jacked?
I was a lot bigger than I was now, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not, you know, I'm still a small guy, so just as big as and super ripped.
Did you still have a neck though?
For sure. Yeah, I had.
Sometimes people get real big and
no, I was not like that. I was, how do you put it? I was still like lean, but with muscle.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I think it was like a once in a lifetime thing. And
it's so hard on your body.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not really healthy, actually. The bodybuilding diet is not healthy whatsoever.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. Okay, so you've had a new lease on life. Mm-hmm. What's your biggest piece of advice? So I'm going to be real straight up. I take everything in life for granted. And I know how quickly it can be pulled away. I've had so many fucking people die on me. But I think we need to be reminded that we need to be grateful and appreciate what we have. So what's your message?
I think my message is don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
If you've got a working body, use it.
And I love that because we can be so hard on our bodies as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you were hard on your body, but I'm like, ugh, sometimes.
Yeah, like mentally, like, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's not even, you know, you're right, you can be hard on yourself, but it's not even about that. Like, you know, just get out and just start by going for like a 20-minute walk every day. Like, you know, but yeah, really like use it or lose it.
Yeah.
That's what I realized, especially leading up to the transplant with the sort of 5 years beforehand, is I probably use it a bit as an excuse by saying, oh, you know, I'm too sick and too weak to exercise. But at the same time, I stopped exercising. So I lost all that ability and then lost the ability to walk far and lost the ability to not need oxygen. So now my goal is just to stay as fit and healthy as possible. Don't stop moving. And that's the other thing. I met a guy, like after my transplant, I met a guy in the hospital weight room who'd also had a lung transplant. And I just said to him, what's like, you know, your biggest piece of advice for living long?
Yeah.
He said, don't stop moving.
Don't stop moving.
Don't stop moving. That struck me. If you never stop moving, well, you just won't die.
Yeah. Like shark, don't they move
Sharks,
all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's fucking cool.
So.
That's so insane. I can't believe you died.
Yeah.
I feel very privileged that I can talk to you and you died.
I'm feeling very privileged that I can be here to, you know, tell my story.
You can because you didn't die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to play a word game?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm a bit nervous, but...
No, don't. It's really good.
Okay.
Although it might not be. You might be like, these words are dumb.
This is going to require like fast thinking on my...
100%.
Yeah, and it's actually 3 a.m. in the morning right now. Just kidding.
I did want to ask a question. So now that... Sorry, just going back. Do your lungs work fine now? Do you still have to do physio and stuff?
No. So
are they all good?
Yeah, they're all good. I mean, I have to take medication now what are they called? Immunosuppressants.
Yeah.
So you have to take drugs forever. But my lungs work fine. Like now when I'm running, it's not my cardio system that gives out first. It's my weak legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my doctor the other day when I had a checkup, he's like, they always ask, they're like, how much are you exercising? What's your exercise tolerance? And I'm like, practically unlimited. Like I could just keep exercising. There's kind of no ceiling to what I can do now. It's probably just my mind and my body. Not
You're like, now I need new legs.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Keep up with my new lungs.
Yeah. Now I need to do leg day more.
Yeah. Never skip leg day, guys.
Never.
Come on.
Never.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game.
Cool.
You've got 1 minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna say words.
Yeah.
And you're gonna say the first word that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right.
Oh gosh.
Are you ready, Matt?
I think I am.
Okay. Ready. Health. This is a great start, Maddie.
Well, because I was gonna say me, and then I was like, that's like really weird.
That's fine.
Okay.
Me. Okay.
Sounds
Wellness.
Yoga.
Ooh. Sex.
Fun.
Lol. Mental health.
Happiness.
Aw. Fitness.
Gym.
You.
Happy.
Oh, that's cool. Poop.
My dog poops on the grass.
Kale.
Not for me.
Fasting.
Really good, actually.
Do you fast?
No, I don't. I have diabetes, so I'd probably die if I fasted.
Yes,
but
duh.
yeah.
Okay, running.
Mentally challenging.
Ooh. Feet.
Not bad.
Toes.
Can be dirty.
Okay. Oh, we hit our 1 minute. That was good. Can be dirty. Feet. You said not bad. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I was like, I think like the answer should be like dirty or smelly, and then I was like, wait, there's actually some okay feet out there. Not that I'm into
not
feet,
a huge fan of feet.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I like baby feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've met heaps of people who are like, if you like put a foot near them, they're like,
yes,
like freak
that's
out.
me.
Yeah, I'm not
And
like that.
keep your socks on.
Yeah.
Even
Keep them clean.
Well,
Just number one, just if you clean them, then you're like 80% of the way there
yeah.
to just, lead in a normal life.
But I think I'm not a fan of my toe. Like I've got a weird toenail and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of my feet.
Fair
so
enough.
then I don't like other people's
Yeah,
feet.
it's like projection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for not dying
You're welcome.
and coming and chatting to me today.
Thank
I've
you.
learned a lot.
Yeah.
When you run in the marathon, are you like raising money for cystic fibrosis or anything
I'm
like
not,
that?
but it's a really good idea. Yeah, I feel like because I was training and got like 2 weeks out from my last one and then couldn't because I was injured. I feel like if that happened again, then I'd feel really bad for like
you'd be
raising
gutted.
money and not
Yeah.
doing it. So kind of just want to get one under my belt, and then I would probably do more fundraising after that. Yeah,
the next one.
Yeah,
We'll fundraise for the next one.
exactly.
All right. Do you want to do another shameless plug?
Yeah, sure. I'm a real estate agent in Point Chevalier. I actually don't know if this is a good thing or not for business, but anyway, hope you've liked my story today. I'm in your area, Derek and I. We love what we do. We're going really well at the moment. Super happy. And yeah, if you have a house to sell or you're looking to buy a house, hit me up.
This guy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's another episode of Me, My Health and I hope you guys are as blown away as I am. Have a fucking fantastic day and we'll see you next week.